When you have an informed opinion on any topic, then let your voice be heard. That is what we do on Express Yourself. Express Yourself is a production of the Drury University Department of Communication and the Drury University Debate Union, where we teach students the arts and skills of debating and then encourage them to apply those skills in various forms of civil discourse. Alexander Long, a senior from Mount Vernon, Missouri. Studying psychology, Andrew hopes to be a lawyer one day, and his favorite public speaker of all time in psychology is Ronald Reagan. Austin Cassidy from Nixon, Missouri. Austin is a junior studying communication. His career goal is to be a business leader. His favorite speaker of all time is Donald Trump. Kendall Stockard, a freshman studying French and marketing from Kansas City, Missouri. Kendall plans on going into nonprofit marketing. Her favorite speaker is Jimmy Fallon. Amarin Link, a sophomore majoring in education and writing from Mount Vernon, Missouri. Amarin wants to teach 4th grade and be a published novelist. He's a big fan of Eric Thomas. Our facilitator and moderator is Dr. Charlie DeBerry, director of the Drury University Debate Union. And now, here's Charlie.
Thank you and welcome to the program. You know, at the time we are recording this program, we are 1 week from the Thanksgiving holiday. So we thought we would spend a little time discussing the history of Thanksgiving and the meaning of Thanksgiving. So let's start on a personal note and ask our panelists just a little bit. I know my family celebrates a traditional Thanksgiving dinner, and so I'd just like to ask the panelists a little bit about what they do if they celebrate. I'll start on my far right with Austin.
All right, yeah, me and my family, we're going to get together in Northeast Texas and have ourselves a little bit of a Cajun-style Thanksgiving. It's going to be pretty good. I hope so.
All right. Go ahead, Kendall.
I don't like Thanksgiving.
Okay.
My family doesn't really get together, but sometimes we have like finger food nights if we don't have like a full-on Thanksgiving.
Okay, so you don't make a big deal out of it.
No, my mom doesn't celebrate holidays.
Okay, and Austin's eating venison and whatever he can round up. All right, what do you think, Alex?
We do a very traditional Thanksgiving. Turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, whole 9 yards. All the family comes together and is a very big family get-together.
Sounds good. Go ahead, Amarin.
My mom is a gourmet cook. She wastes no time that she could be making an eggplant into something that was previously delicious. So she enjoys making our Thanksgiving different every year. So this year I've heard we are having lamb and I believe chicken instead of turkey. So who knows how that's going to turn out.
All right. Well, that all sounds pretty good to me. I was, there's some controversy about Thanksgiving because a lot of us were taught in elementary school a very quaint story about Thanksgiving. And so I'd like to first start off with maybe kind of historically what that traditional story of Thanksgiving is that at least for a long time has been taught in the elementary schools. Kendall, would you like to address that?
Yeah, so many, not all elementary schools have been teaching that Thanksgiving is a time that, you have pilgrims and Indians and they came together for a meal. Well, now we've gotten into a more, some schools have gone away from that and they teach it a little bit differently, but most schools and some schools still teach it as just a time where you had Native Americans and these European settlers coming together for a peaceful meal when that may not always be the case.
Okay, so Amarin, there's some history that's perhaps left out, and some of it may not be very pleasant. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I can tell you hardly any of it's very pleasant.
Okay.
What we celebrate now is a beautiful over time, sort of like the game of telephone, the true situation has been seriously lost. But really what happened was a lot of pillaging, raping, and stealing whenever the pilgrims, or not really the pilgrims, but the white people came into the land of the Native Americans, who'd been there for a long time. But then, of course, the white people said that they had discovered it, and they came in and attacked and did all sorts of awful things, bringing lots of diseases and resulting in mass genocide. So it's very dark, considering.
Okay, so there's some truth to the original Thanksgiving, but a lot of things happened following that have been left out. Austin, would you want to add a little bit about the history and what's been left out?
Yeah, sure. Not only was there mass genocide, and on top of that, there were many social injustices put upon the Native Americans. There was the Trail of Tears, and hundreds of thousands of African Americans Native Americans had to make their way, thousands of miles out of their home territory, just to be pushed there because they were the weaker ones, and they were declared to be off the territory. So. So that's another major injustice, and throughout history, the Native Americans just have had many injustices put upon them.
Okay, well, before I want to add something. Before I do that, I want to ask Alex. So there's a lot of what you could call ugliness in the history. Well, how much of that do we want to teach? That brutality and that horrific story of perhaps some of the things that have gone on through history. How much of that do we want to teach elementary students, or is there a place left to teach Thanksgiving in the schools? Or I'm throwing you a pretty big question there, but go ahead.
I think that they should be informed. So we should need to give a great amount of gruesome detail. Like, they were all over the battleground and blood everywhere. That kind of thing doesn't really need to be taught. But at the same time, we can't really have the same respect for something if we don't know about it. So if the children are not taught that, yes, this did happen at this time, but now Thanksgiving is more of a time to get together with family and be thankful for what we do have. But we can't really fully enjoy that or understand it if we don't at the same time spread the awareness that tons of people did suffer in the history of Thanksgiving.
Well, you can understand that if you're particularly a Native American who teaches in elementary school, that this is a difficult subject for you to address in a way that's acceptable to the school system and to the families and so forth, and yet is acceptable to the person who's actually also doing the teaching. But the atrocities that went on for clear up till the late 1800s, would you say that's about? Have we been? Has the association with violence and so forth, has that been ended for 100 years, or?
I would like to go ahead and speak to that, and something I was hoping I would get to say in the discussion this evening anyway. I originally started out as an education major in college, and I did a great deal of research in the minorities section of our studies into Native Americans. And one of the things that I learned shockingly to me is that the oppression of Native Americans still takes place in America today. It's horrifying to see what happens on Native American reservations, and I think that this false telling of Thanksgiving, where we sugarcoat it and make the Caucasian population feel better about themselves, that we pretend this didn't happen, I think that contributes to the mistreatment of Native Americans still today. So what I think we need there is some realism, some honesty, so that we can stop the awful things that are taking place from happening.
All right, so I agree, and I think that we need to look at both what it was and the original good intention. It was originally a fall of the year, a harvest time, a time for the sharing of bountiful things, and that was all a good idea, and still is something that is celebrated in many ways around the world. So with that in mind, what just to wrap this up, what does Thanksgiving? What do you think the meaning of it should be today? And do you think we should just abandon that part of it and just teach something entirely different? Do you follow the question? I mean, what should we teach about Thanksgiving today?
Well, as my final statement, I guess I'd say that what we should teach about Thanksgiving today is really that what we need to do is respect it as a holiday that is now separate from its history. I think we need to have a respect for the Native Americans,
Right.
what happened to them, the mass genocide. I think we need to accept that that's happened and say that we've moved on as a people and that we still respect them and we are very deeply, deeply, sincerely sorry for what happened there. And then celebrate it as a time of sharing and Thanksgiving, like you've said.
Right. Alex, you have anything to add?
I would mostly just repeat what she said and agree that we do need to raise awareness because a lot of people don't know the history because I don't think it's taught quite like it should be in schools, and so people need to know more about it.
Yeah, it's almost like maybe the history of it should be taught at a separate time of the year or something, taught separately from the from what's going on. Or I guess I can ask you, Kendall, how do you see Thanksgiving today? Is it an important holiday, or?
I mean, Thanksgiving today is completely different than what it was in the past. I would not put them as the same thing. Also, at the same time, schools do teach the history behind it when they're not in elementary school anymore. Because I mean, I can understand where it's really hard to explain to a kindergartner what happened because they don't have the ability to grasp what happened, because they just simply don't understand. But as you get older, and I know that my school district specifically, as we got older, they taught the real history. They told us what happened, and we always went in chronological order. So when that happened, it may not have fell during Thanksgiving, but at the same time, you don't just bash in the U.S. You tell the history as it happened. You tell the good and you tell the bad, and I think that's what's already happening in schools as kids get older. I just think that people want to ignore that, and they just think that, we tell elementary school kids the wrong thing, so we tell everyone the wrong thing, and that's simply not the case.
Right. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and ask Austin. Final word.
I believe that we should not, as a nation, ignore injustices that we've put onto other people. At the same time, we shouldn't abandon the virtues that Thanksgiving has to offer children, all over the country. All over, there's lessons to be learned, and these lessons should be taught in schools. And knowledge should not be withheld from people. And there's still a way to celebrate a holiday and keep it sincere and honorable to the people who did suffer injustices. And so I think that is what we should focus on in the public schools.
I think that's a great suggestion, and I think the whole idea of simply thinking of what it means today. We're a bit far removed, most of us, from the farming situation where we were bringing in the harvest, and we're going to celebrate the harvest. But it can be recognized as a day of gathering with family and friends and sharing having gratitude for the bountiful things we have that sustain us in life, and have that be a day of gratitude. And with that, I will simply say that again, I thank you for doing a great job, and as usual. And I would like to thank the viewers for watching or tuning into this program. If you'd like to see more of our shows, you can simply go to drury.edu/debate. And remember, the next time you have a difference of opinion on any given topic, keep emotion out of it, stick to the facts, and never make it personal. Then when you're ready, you can express yourself. Thanks again. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next time.